So now it's time that we have a keynote address by our President IPS 2003, Professor Dr. Ponnudurai. He needs no introduction. He is a mentor to whole Tamil Nadu psychiatrist. Almost everyone will be somewhere or other connected to his teachings in Tamil Nadu. And he is one of the psychiatrists who is active in IPS since 1970. Almost he has been for the past 40 years, he has held some post in IPS, guiding or chairperson of a constitution committee or tribunal or ethics committee or law committee after his president post. Before that, he was the treasurer twice, and he was also twice or thrice, I think, and he was the president in 1993. Whatever problem we look at Professor Ponnudurai for any problem solving. So he is what you call Bhishma of our
not tell not to call.
psychiatry.
You talk to your senior.
He is a pastor, director of IMH, Ramachandra Medical College, and more importantly, he is one of the few psychiatrists who received the BC rank.
ठीक नहीं है.
That itself is a honor to psychiatry. Over to Professor Ponnudurai, sir, for your.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ramakrishnan,
Just something.
for your excellent remarks and calling me as Bhishma. Nice words, I enjoy. I think I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Are you able to see me also?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Very good.
Yes,
Very
sir,
good,
you are audible
Yes,
and
sir.
visible.
Yes, sir. Respected President Dr. Ramakrishnan and our past President of South Zone, Dr. Kishan, and Honorary Secretary, Dr. Suresh Kumar, other office bearers of South Zone, Dr. Ramanan Irat, Dr. Shahul Amin, Dr. Gangaram, and other past presidents and present office bearers of South Zone and state branches of South Zones, etc. And also my regards to our chief guests of the day, our national president, Dr. P.K. Dalal, and Dr. and Honorary General Secretary, Dr. Gautam Saha, and Dr. Secretary, Dr. T.S.S. Rao, who have graced this occasion. My special thanks to them and wishes to them. I think with these few words, I will start my thing. I was thinking from where to start and where to end. In fact, I started my career in psychiatry in 1974, but my active journey in IPS started in 1978. Way back in 1979, that was the day when I first presented my paper in Pune ANSIPS Psychiatry Conference. And at that time, I was accompanied by Professor Somasundaram, who was my mentor, a philosopher and guide. And I must share with you the few words which he told me, because I was a little tensed up being the first presentation. He said, the audience may ask you some question. That doesn't mean the reply must be relevant. Don't worry about that. That doesn't mean I am giving irrelevant replies everywhere. But this simple message, question something, reply something, don't worry. That is, you be relaxed, give the answer whatever is possible. That is the message he gave. That gave me an immense encouragement from then on in all my deliberations. And at that time, when I was in IMH, Dr. Sarada Menon motivated us to become members of IPS. Not that she wanted to contest any election. She never became the president, or never interested in an office bearership, but he encouraged all of us to become members. And like that, only I also became a member. And then I became a life fellow of society on 7th December 1979. And from then on, my journey started. Particularly, I was more active in the Tamil Nadu branch. And I became the secretary of the Tamil Nadu branch also for a couple of years. And because of my association with the my own teacher, Professor Venkobrao, and also mentors like Professor Somasundaram and Dr. Sarada. I mean, I was introduced to various solvers of IPS even in those days, like Dr. D. N. Nandi, L.P. Shah, Dr. Datta, Dr. Channabasavana, Dr. S.T. Sharma, and so on. K.C. Dubey, so many people. I was very fortunate in that. And then when I was the secretary of IPS Tamil Nadu branch, I drafted the first constitution there and bylaws to govern the our activities of IPS Tamil Nadu. And I was also inducted as the executive council member in the South Zone IPS. I think I'm audible. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I'll continue. And then, of course, the South Zone is still recognizing me. And then they have given the task of evolving that guidelines for our ethics committee and tribunal, which I gave to them. So I'm still active in the South Zone and also in Tamil Nadu branch, whichever conference is held, I'm there and they rely on me for various advice and guidance, even till today, as Dr. Ramakrishnan has already pointed out. That's the activity which I'm still carrying on. But my most important career in IPS was when I was the honorary treasurer of IPS from 1995 to 2001. That is 3 terms, 6 years I was there. And the task was a little easy because I inherited the mantle from Dr. Colonel Golecha, the past president of IPS. And he gave me immense encouragement. And Dr. Shah Jahan was the assistant treasurer at that time. And then we saw to it that every year we brought out the hard copy of membership directory of IPS. All through the 6 years we brought out. And not only that, we incorporated the mobile numbers, phone numbers, and even at that time, the mobile number was new, but landline was there. But it was very helpful to all the members. I had the feedback from all the members that they enjoyed this incorporation of phone numbers. And then for the first time, we introduced the concept of membership numbers consisting of 5 digits. It was actually Dr. Shah Jahan who gave me this idea. And then we executed it. In the beginning, there was some doubt from senior members because all along, it was the alphabetic order on which the membership directory was drafted. So now we are changing from alphabetic order to number. You can now imagine how useful this membership number to our IPS is. Even today, the election is held with the membership number. So it is so useful to all the members now. And of course, it is a 5-digit number, easy to remember. Now I think Dr. Jagiwala is contemplating to expand a little bit because they are not able to accommodate within that 100 numbers for each alphabet. Another frustration that I had was the accounts of IPS at that time. And our auditor each time said, the zonal accounts are not submitted. So this is a query every time. Then how are you going to furnish the income tax return to the IT department? They will ask, what happened to the zonal accounts? You are concealing some accounts, they will say. So that is the problem we had. So we thought we will de-link the financial transactions of the zones from the national IPS body. So that is the decision we made in one of the AGBs. And even my past president, Dr. Golecha, he supported that, but he also had the same problem when he was the treasurer. So he supported the move, and various members like Dr. Joseph Verghese and so many people from the AGB also supported the move. And ultimately we thought and implemented the same. That is really helpful because the zones are now expanded well. They have got state branches attached to them. And from the state, the local branches have come now. So that was the thing. And then I thought I will try my best to get the income tax exemption as the next move. But when I went to the income tax office, they asked me, sir, where is your registration certificate? That is the time that struck me that there is a registration certificate under the Societies Registration Act. And then I inquired. I was told that it was registered at Patna, all those things. But the problem is we couldn't lay our hands on the original registration certificate or other documents. Even the documents from, as Dr. S.T. Sharma was telling today, The documents related to 1948 for so many years it has been lost. The resolutions, so many things are lost. And in that time also that was not traceable. So the registrar's office said, they said the Patna registration is not there available in the office. Best thing is you go for a fresh registration for obtaining the income tax exemption. That is how the Chennai registration was obtained. And then in 2000, at the end of my tenure, I got the registration. And then I approached the income tax office, and then they granted me the income tax exemption. That also was the great difficulty, because they asked me the assurance, will you be able to furnish your returns every year, doctor? He asked, the same question he asked. I said, sir, we will furnish every year. And then I gave a promise and came away. And then on the next day, the order was issued, and our society was exempted under 12A and 80G of the IT Act at that time. Unfortunately, now we are now planning to revive our registration from Patna, and then revive all the retrospective regularization of all those things. I think in the AGB, we will be discussing about that. This is the position at the end of my tenure as treasurer. Then, of course, I became the president of IPS. And when I became the president, I had two important things in my mind. One is making psychiatry as a separate subject of examination. As Dr. P.K. Dalal has pointed out today, this idea was mooted long ago. And we have been still fighting for that. And Dr. Roy Abraham may be knowing all these things because he was a secretary at that time. And then he was also following the proposal. But to my knowledge, the government of India favored this proposal, but the MCA rejected it. And not only that, in the MCA, some of our own medical fraternity are not for it. They said psychiatry is still included as a separate, as a part of the general medicine subject only for undergraduates. You take any textbook of general medicine, psychiatry is there for the undergraduates. So how can we allow that? Of course, they also quoted for some of the other specialties also, there are independent subjects of examination, and it will be overburdening the students. That's another argument they pointed out. So likewise, the stalemate came, and still I think Dr. Dalal is pursuing. Hopefully, our future office bearers also will be able to follow it up and then get things done. Another thing that was running in my mind was indexing the IJP, because all our research publications could not reach outside the boundary of India. It could not reach the international journals. So unless we get our IJP index in PubMed, how are you going to achieve this target? And then, of course, at that time, fortunately, when there was a vacancy for a post because of the editor, Dr. Utpal Goswami resigned, and then at that time, Dr. JKT was the president. And I prompted JKT, and then he immediately agreed as usual to me. And then at that time in the meeting, Dr. Rao was there, ESS Rao. I think, I don't know whether he's here now or not. And we nominated him as an interim editor. But 1 year, he could not do anything. And of course, Dr. Nimesh came. Because this indexing of IJP, I don't know what happened, because all the past editors are doyens in the field of psychiatry, including my own teacher, Professor Venko Brao, and then subsequently Dr. B.B. Sethi, Dr. Janabasavana, so many people, Kuruvilla, so many people were there, but none of them could achieve it. And somehow, Dr. T.S.S. Rao, in his tenure, achieved this important task of indexing the IJP. My hearty congratulations to Dr. Rao at this juncture, and my heartfelt appreciation for him. Because all our now publication, not only mine, but also all the other publications are now getting cited at the international journal. We have now come to the international forum. This is the progress that we have made. Of course, I was also assigned various positions. Because of the trust you reposed in me, I have to thank all the past presidents in this regard. First task was Dr. K.A. Kumar. When I laid down the office of treasurer, oh no, you are now free. Why not you do this job? What job, Kumar, you want to tell me? He said, why not we evolve a finance code for our IPS? So this is an important task I had before me, which Dr. Kumar gave. I think Rakumar is now present.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good, very good. So I formulated the finance code that was accepted unanimously by the AGB. And now, of course, at that time as a task force member, I formulated. Now, as a finance committee chairman, I had to revise the same finance code last year and then submit it to the AGB. It has been incorporated now in the constitution and bylaws also. That's how the finance code came into existence. And then later, after I laid down the office of the president, Dr. A.B. Ghosh was the president. There was a problem in the election. Lot of problems, conflicts and controversies, and then why not you conduct re-election? So many problems were there. At that time, Dr. A.B. Ghosh said, Dr. Ponnudurai, why not you head the task force for reforming the election? That is election commission reform. That time, this commission, the task force was created. Anyway, any assignment I usually say okay, and then I do it, and then somehow I made it up, and then gave a proposal for an independent election commission. That is how the election commission came into existence. But there was a controversy over the composition of the members. I didn't know what to do because I gave some proposal of past presidents, etc., and there was a problem. And then, of course, it was Dr. Ramana Neeraj, our president-elect of South Zone. He proposed one thing that was a welcome one. From each zone, why not we nominate one person in rotation? There is a 3-member commission in rotation. Let them come. So why not you adopt that? So that sounded well, and all of us in the AGB accepted that. Dr. Ramana Neeraj's proposal, and I think in 2009, it was unanimously. I think Dr. Mohandas was a president, and then the election commission came into being and started functioning also, and everything has been incorporated in the constitution now. All of you know about the present history. One more problem I had when I was the chairman of the awards committee. This position was given to me by Dr. Ajit Avasti and Dr. Tirunavakarsan. What happened was, one person who was declared as winner by our committee, I was assisted by our co-chair, Dr. Uday Chaudhary from Calcutta. So both of us sat together and then concluded the award winner. We have announced in the AGB also. But after the AGB is over, even during the AGB, there was some gossip. After the AGB, everything became clear that that award winner had already submitted a paper. This is one important information for all of you. Be careful. That he had already, that individual has submitted the paper, and then it was published in another journal, even before the paper was presented in ANSIPS. So ultimately, we thought we'll disqualify that person. Fortunately, I was having the mark sheet of other contestants for the award, and then I was able to choose the number 2 in the line as and declare that person as a winner. So that problem was sorted out fairly smoothly without any problem. So this is another problem which I had. I thought I will highlight. So many things have happened in IPS. And now I think recently there was a problem in the SLD. You know, time and again, we psychiatrists and our society has to be very alert. There is a tendency for sidelining our psychiatrists in every field. And our own medical fraternity is sometimes prejudiced in this regard. When the SLD was that board for SLD, for learning disorders for children, pediatrician was included in the board, but not a psychiatrist. This is the situation. And I remember I was not part of the task force. I was in the committee, I know. But at that time, I think Dr. John from Kerala and Alka Subramaniam, they fought, I think, for about 4 to 5 years in this matter. And ultimately, psychiatrists have been included in that board after our fight. That is the situation. And lastly, I was also upset over the recent Mental Health Care Act. I thought a few words about this Mental Health Care Act before I conclude my speech will be useful to the members of IPS here. And then at that time, Dr. MSVK Raju was the president. And in one of the council meetings where I was also a special invitee, we deliberated upon this lacunae, different lacunae of this Mental Health Care Act. And of course, it is a separate topic. If I go on talking about this Mental Health Care Act, it will take more than 1 hour or 2 hours for you. It will be boring. And it is not in the purview of this day today, where we are actually celebrating our foundation day. So what happened was, the society decided to file a writ petition in this matter. And there was a support from the EC and also general body to support, to file a writ petition to counter this Mental Health Care Act. And now the position is, we have already filed the affidavit. The current position, which I learned just now from Dr. Watway, because now Dr. Watway and Dr. MSVK Raju are the members of that task force to fight this in the court. IPS has already filed the affidavit. Counter has been filed by the government of India after waiting for nearly 1 year. I don't know whether it's 1 year or more than that. They have taken such a long time to file the counter. They were not able to file the counter. But after having filed the counter, we didn't keep quiet. Our committee has now filed another 700 pages points of rebuttal for that counter. So this is a situation. So now I heard that the Bombay High Court has constituted a special bench consisting of 3 judges to go through this. And they issued a summons to the Advocate General of Government of India to appear in person. I think because of the lockdown, it has been postponed. Presently, I heard it is coming in February. By February, the Advocate General of Government of India has to give a reply for our 700 pages of rebuttal to the Government of India's defense against our various defects which we have noted in the Mental Health Care Act. This is the position that IPS is now facing. So what I'm trying to say is, there are a lot of problems for the psychiatrist which we have to face in future. Every time, whenever there's a problem, they may ask us for help, and then after that, they forget us. And our own medical fraternity, as I told you, for creating a separate subject of examination for psychiatry, for creating a separate department, our medical fraternity is not supporting us in many aspects. So our task is to convince and then get the support of our medical fraternity, including IMA and other people, so that we will have a smooth time in running our show as a psychiatrist. Anyway, the future is very much challenging for the younger generation. I wish them all well. And before I conclude, I will just, I've taken a few words from Robert Frost. The woods are lovely, dark and deep. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep. But I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep. And miles to go before I sleep. With these few words, I will conclude my keynote address, and I thank all the office bearers of IPS South Zone, and also Ramakrishnan and Suresh Kumar, Secretary, and others for having given me this precious opportunity to share my thoughts with all of you. Thank you. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. We'll give a respect to Ponnudurai, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
The very idea of me asking Dr. Ponnudurai to talk about my journey in IPS was exactly this. People don't know what struggle the office is going through, what rights for what things our IPS organization is working. So they should know the past history also. That is the reason why I requested Dr. Ponnudurai to give a glimpse of, because he is in the activity from 78. So he will be here for 42 years. He has been doing service in IPS. Maybe the longest serving IPS office bearer, I think. So thank you, sir, for your wisdom You have shown to other people how difficult it is to run and what is the future of psychiatry. Thank you very much, sir. Now I request our Vice President of IPS South Zone, Dr. Yerad, to give you a few words of wisdom. Before that, I request all of you to stay till the end because it is not a scientific program, it is not a thing, it is a program to honor our seniors and past presidents. So we will hear their wisdom. Maybe in scientific meetings we cannot even see them. So that is another reason why I want you all to stay back. Now, with the Bhishma of IPS talk, in few time after Thiruvalluvan of IPS, Professor O. Somasundaram is here. He is going to address us. So these are all rare things that is going to happen. So I request you all to stay back. That is me. That will be my humble request. Thank you, sir. Professor Dr. Irat, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ramakrishnan and President of IPS South Zone, my senior colleagues, Dr. Ponnudurai, Dr. K.A. Kumar, and Dr. Katik, respected Dr. Kurivila, and many others who I know through IPS only, because IPS is the one forum that has given me a chance to interact with many of the stalwarts in IPS, from the national to the zonal and the states. And my journey started with an executive member in the Kerala state, and then the president, and then the South Zone representative from Kerala, and then central representative to the national, where I was given the chance to be the convener of the Constitution Committee. That's how I started my journey in IPS in Constitution, with the help of Joseph Verghese and others. And I have to remember about Dr. I.R.S. Reddy, who gave me 1.5 hours time to frame the rules of the election commission, I think at Bangalore, in one of the conferences in Bangalore in July. And he asked me to formulate the guidelines and then go ahead with the election process. And I think that was well accepted. Everybody thought whether this election commission is going to function. And as Dr. Ponnudurai said, it was a smooth flow. We never expected that the election commission will be a lifelong thing in IPS. I think that involvement came from the encouragement given by my senior colleagues and my fellow colleagues, everybody. I owe everything to IPS for that. Even today, many, even in Kerala state, in Palakkad, IMA also have drafted the constitution, made it almost foolproof. Even then, every now and then we'll have something or other to add. But I think I'm happy with it. It's all, the credit goes to the IPS and mentors like Ponnudurai, Dr. Joseph Verghese, many people. And I hope this forum, this foundation day forum today will be a long affair. I think it will not be ending on 7th. I think it has to go on at least for a week or through the year. And we can formulate many activities, and not only CMEs, but as Dr. Dalal was saying, I think community-based programs and community awareness must be an ongoing process. And I hope and I wish every good things for this foundation. Thank you, Dr.
Action at all.
Dr. Amishi, you are not audible.
Please unmute, sir.
I welcome Dr. Rai Abraham, sir, for this meeting. Thank you so much.